Employees at an escape room. What was the weirdest things you've witnessed through the cameras? There was a room with a bed in it. Instead of continuing to follow the clues, two guests proceeded to put themselves to bed and then take a nap for half the time. They weren't hurting anything, so I let it happen. Before they left, they remade the bed and tucked two of our skeletons inside. Not an employee but my so's old neighbor worked at an escape room and we went to try it out. It was a lot of fun but we finally got the lock off this big wooden door for access into the second half of the room. And for some reason neither of us decided to try the door. We kept looking for clues for around 10 minutes until, over the walkie, the guy straight up told us to pull the door and you can tell he was sick of it. The story that comes to mind is a group of Swedish construction workers genuinely thought the solution to the puzzle was to lift the door off its hinges, although a more common experience would be explaining to customers that the games aren't as fun when intoxicated. And then have them complain that the game was way too hard. That stopped when we started adding a histogram of every player's score on the souvenir photos. And their embarrassing times were way longer than average. Was in an escape room with some friends and a bunch of strangers. Premise of the room is that you've been kidnapped by a serial killer and you've got to get yourself out of his basement before he comes back. So it's super creepy and gross. A few clues in, we find the key to a 7 feet tall locker. One of the guys I don't know goes to open it. I'm standing right behind him. He unlocks it and just as he reaches for the handle, the door starts to open from the inside. We were so in the moment. He and I just slam the damn thing shut and hold it with our combined weight. We're all asking each other what to do. And there comes a polite knocking from inside the locker. We're all jumpy as heck. But we finally decide to let whoever is in there out. It was the killer, and he was supposed to just jump scare the crap out of everyone and run out of the room. After we all escaped, he told us that had never happened before. He was just standing in the locker trying to figure out what to do. So funny afterwards, but it genuinely scared the crap out of me when it happened. Edit, for those who asked. It was the basement at the Exit Games in Wilmington, NC. Highly recommend their rooms. So clever and well planned. Nothing really earth-shattering here. The strangest thing I can think of is this one time the guest skipped every clue and happened onto the final solution to escape the room in the first 5 minutes. As I was heading towards the exit of the room to offer them a steep discount for completing the room on record time and seeing if they wanted to try another room, I overheard the guest starting to unravel the mystery backwards from the end point. Seeing them sound so exited and into the mystery, I walked back to my station and saw them solve every puzzle backwards in record time. After they got out, we shared some laughs over what happened, then traded a free coupon for their next visit if they told me how they unraveled everything so we can run it as a new scenario. The group of guests managed to pull an entire twin bed, mattress, frame and all, through a thin passageway and into the final room through the secret door. They thought it would be part of the puzzle. It was not. A couple broke up in the room I was running. I then gave them loads of hints so they could get out ASAP. My mother and her friends went to an escape room one night for a girls' night out. And while they were solving the room, one of them elected to just fiddle around with the final lock on the door, which was a 4-digit code. And miraculously unlocked it and walked out. We were doing a jewel heist one and there was a 4-letter lock, so I put in ring right away and it opened. It turns out that was a lock we would have unlocked about a third of the way, and so it screwed us up for a bit. But come on, it's a jewelry store, how am I not going to try ring? This reminds me of the day young boy me felt incredibly smart. I was playing Beavis and Butthead on my Genesis. And there was a part in the game where I needed to get into Burger World through the back door. It was an employee area, so I needed to type in a code on a number pad to enter. I noticed the code was 8 digits long and the number pad was one of those that had the letters below the numbers. For no apparent reason, Butthead was 8 letters, so I thought I'd try typing that with the corresponding numbers. Got in on the first try without any hint from the game. Felt super galaxy brain that day. I went to a place with my family and, while we went into our room, We saw some employees working on fixing another room. Apparently someone from a group before ours decided the only way out was to shoulder charge the door. Which wasn't all that strong. And ripped the entire thing out of the frame. I guess they technically succeeded. My cousin went through an escape room with his friends and were solving the puzzles at an alarmingly quick rate. They were told the entire escape process would take anywhere around 60 to 90 minutes. Well, they were finished in 10 minutes. The coordinator running the room was floored. And told them this was the quickest she'd ever seen someone escape. Thinking they were cheating, she went into the room. Well, whoever the employee was that cleaned up the escape room before them left the answer key behind. So my cousin and his friends had found the answer key and it still took them 10 minutes to escape the room. They got a refund and were asked to please try again. This is not super relevant to the question, but a few years ago I went to an escape room to meet a Tinder date for the first time. He had paid for the session online and told me to get there at 7. He just didn't show up. I ended up completing the escape room with one of the employees there. Because she felt bad for me and the session was already booked lol. Best escape room story I ever heard was someone flying home for Thanksgiving while his sister had persuaded their parents to try out an escape room together. They arranged it with the staff so he was waiting for them in the second room. Not that crazy, but a fun story. Honestly, most of the odd stuff that happens is because us employees forgot to reset one part of the room. The worst was when this new employee reset a room for the first time by himself. He locked all of the locks, but never actually locked the door of each safe to itself. So the customers were able to open everything like there were no locks at all. He eventually became assistant manager at our store. We were desperate. My husband, my best friend, and I do escape rooms a lot. I have many experience stories. We decided to do one just the two of us. And we're paired with another group of women. They were a bachelorette party. 3 of them. And they were drunk off their asses. Very nice. But very drunk. They were all wearing sashes that said Bride Tribe and insisting we all go drinking together after. The amount of times I said, no, we can't just bust down the door, was incredible. But the best part was they were oddly helpful. They just kept finding things and bringing them to me. One found a clue cause they took a painting off the wall which I probably wouldn't have ever done. The place was really nice about the whole thing. They gave us a free game for being so chill about the whole thing. And we still got out of the room. My other favorite was a spaceship themed room we did with a couple of teenagers. The teenagers were great. They were helpful. We solved a code and a section of the table starts opening up. Before we can even register what's happening, this boy reaches in and hits what is apparently a big red button. The whole room starts going off that it's in self-destruct mode. Red lights siren the whole bit. The kids lose their minds that we're going to fail the room. Yelling at their friend. And the adults are trying to stop laughing long enough to explain that we already knew how to fix it. There was a panel that 2 people turned keys in tandem to stop the self-destruct. As every space movie always has. I will never forget the look on their faces. Absolute fucking panic. So there was this group of 5 or 6 teenagers in this one room. And at some point when they open a secret door, the lights go out, making it almost pitch black in there. Now the cameras we look through obviously change to using IR light. And I immediately see 2 of them go in a corner and start making out. So yeah, pretty weird having to see that while their friends, less than 2 meters away, be oblivious to what their friends were wasting their time on lol. Not an employee. While looking for a key, I put my hand in a box and pulled out a stuffed rat tied to a cord. I was convinced this was important. Stuck my fingers up a tear in the stuffed toy's arsehole and started yanking out its stuffing, convinced I'd find a key. A clue. Something. I was quickly warned over the phone by an employee that the rat was just part of the set and to please leave it alone. TLDR. Got in trouble for fingering a toy rat at an escape room. I worked at an escape room where the game masters were inside the room with the guests as actors who were in character with the room's theme. We had a zombie room with 2 actors, a doctor and a zombie. The plot of the room was fun. Guests walk in. The doctor would begin a scientific lecture about a virus reanimating dead tissue. While this is going on, the zombie, chained to the wall, chain got longer every 5 minutes, is snarling. After like a minute, the doctor would have to tranquilize the zombie as preparation for experimentation. Here, the zombie would attack the doctor. Alarms go off. Door, self-locks, to contain the virus. And we now have an hour to escape or be locked in forever. As the doctor, I would get more and more sick as the hour went by, all while trying to remain studious and terrified at the same time. With about 3 minutes to go, regardless where the guests were with escaping, I'd faint. Usually everyone stopped what they were doing to gawk, waiting for me to pop back up. This was usually where the zombie in the room would go ham and start chasing people around the room. With the commotion, I'd twitch. And they'd scream each time I did because it added to the confusion and chaos. With a minute left, I'd pop up in a back bend and start spider walking at people with an Alka-Seltzer tablet foaming out of my mouth. I actually made someone pee themselves doing this. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.